Lomochrome purple is a really significant film to me. Even though it's pretty new and I haven't been using it for all that long, I feel like it really opened my mind in terms of shooting with experimental film. Ever since I shot my first roll of Lomochrome purple in Chinatown, I've been experimenting with more and more different types of film. And in that video, Paul645 called out the fact that I should be using Lomochrome purple in greener environments, and you know what? He was absolutely right. Also, his photography is pretty sick. The link's in the comments, check it out. So after shooting around in the greenery instead of the city, I decided to take a page out of my good friend Check Out Jacob's book. I was gonna shoot Lomochrome purple 35mm through a 120 film camera. Jacob very graciously gave me 3D printed adapters for my 120 camera so I can put 35mm film in there. So I decided the destination would be Bear Mountain. We'd get a lot of those nice fall leaf colors, nice views from the scenic overlook. But before we go, we have to load the film into the camera. And in order to do this, we need to do things a little bit differently than we normally would. So in order to run this through, per Jacob's recommendation, we gotta tape a little something onto the end. Oh my god. We gotta tape a little something onto the end of here. And just so happens that we got this nice little card here, and it's recyclable and shit like that. So we're gonna combine these two and be extra biodegradable. We'll just tape this together. And that will allow the 35mm film to load up into the 120mm camera without pulling the film all the way out and exposing some shots unnecessarily. At least that's my understanding of why we do this. With that done, I drove up to Bear Mountain and I loaded in the film. I popped in the 3D printed adapters that Jacob gave me, and I just put it in the same way I normally would put 120 film into the camera. The only difference now is that it's 35mm. Now the idea here is that the whole negative is going to get exposed, so straight through to the sprockets you'll get an image across the entire negative. It's a cool look, it's definitely not for everybody, not everyone's going to love it, but it's pretty cool. As the camera started advancing, my brain, it all just came together. Uh-oh, this automatically advances to the next frame. Could be trouble. Didn't think this one through. Typical Sweet Lou photography fashion. Oh well. Guess we'll see what happens there. The scenic overlook at Bear Mountain, it's crazy how big the scale is with all the mountains and stuff like that, so there's plenty of stuff to shoot. It's really easy to get caught up and just start taking shots really quickly. I tried to resist the temptation, but I'm only human after all. Sorry, I just watched The Witch last night and like all that sin and God stuff's on my brain. But anyway, for a little context, I have my GA645 on program mode. I'm just kind of shooting through. Now there are a couple of challenging things. First off, I don't really have a frame counter, so I'm just trying to keep track in my brain. Not good at math, didn't last very long. The second issue is that it's auto advancing, so at the time I really didn't know how well the frames were going to split apart. Having the photos at my disposal now, yeah, I was absolutely right in being concerned about that because they are very much overlapping onto one another. I don't really know why I took this picture of the tree. I think my brain was just like, oh, green, let's shoot this because green turns purple. It's not a particularly great photo, but it did turn purple, I guess. After the tree, I turned around and I saw the road and just the tree line behind me. I really loved it, but I wanted to try and frame the street sign out of there. There's that street sign that just, it was ugly. I didn't like it. But unfortunately, I think I flew a little too close to the sun. I composed that way too high, and there's very little tree line in this shot. We're off to a beautiful start, guys. After that, I decided to go for the sun cresting the mountains across the water there. I ended up metering for the sky because I didn't want to just make the sky just a white splotch, but in hindsight, I probably should have tried to meet in the middle a little bit more because the complete silhouette, I just lose some of the details that I would have wanted to get. Specifically the brush up front. There's that one little twiggy boy that comes up there, and to me it's just a distraction. But I think past Lou's brain worked the same way as editor Lou's brain because I started to do some more close-up shots on the brush in front of me there. And I gotta say, metering for the brush and getting that sun coming in behind them as a nice backlight. Oh, mamma mia, we're on the right track now. The sun was starting to set, so I decided to do a couple more shots with the water and the mountains in the frame. One thing to keep in mind here is that normally with 120 film, this camera's default orientation is portrait mode, and you have to rotate the camera to do a landscape. But because the film is a different shape in there now, it's actually back to normal, which was slightly confusing at first, but I just had to keep that in mind. I really do like this shot, but this was one of the examples where there really was a pretty significant overlap in the frames together, so if we just crop this little bit out right here, we can get a better view of the the photo itself. But hey, problems aside, I'm pretty happy with this one. The tones are pretty nice. Keeping the horizon in mind, I was looking around a little bit more and I noticed that there was like that little field down there. I'm not sure what's going on down there, if it's like a farm or something, but it caught my eye and I decided to take a picture of it. I gotta say, I really like the detail in this one. And right after I framed up that shot, I noticed a little bush in front of me that had green and yellowish gold leaves. I wanted to go for that one because I was curious to see what was going to happen with the variety of greens and yellows right next to each other. They all turned pretty magenta purple, with some of them leaning a little bit more on the pink. It was nice, but I really should have gotten lower for this one, just the perspective of kind of looking down at a 45-degree angle. I'm just not in love with it. And right next to that, there was another tree that had a bunch of different leaf colors in there, so I moved around it a little bit to find a nice shot where I can just compose it with the sky in the background. Moving away from the smaller details, I decided to go back to the larger scene here. And I gave this photo the classic underexpose. I think I metered for the sky too much again. Would have been nice to meet in the middle a little bit there, but I don't hate it. If you move a little bit outside of the scenic overlook, you see this beautiful view here of all the mountaintops and the road and everything like that. In my head, I wanted to get the road out of the shot, and once again, I kind of aimed the camera a little bit too high and did not get anywhere near enough of the mountains in the shot. So it's mainly clouds here, not in love with it. If I could go back and do it again, I probably would have just included the road. But hey, that's film photography, right? In this series, I never cut out the photos I take, so that's why you've seen some of the ones that make me want to end it all. And this one in particular, it kind of baffles me. I have no idea how it just overexposed so badly, like on program mode. But here it is. What a disaster this shot is. I went for another shot here, and this one specifically metering for the sky. I wanted to try and get a nice silhouette of the mountains. And I gotta say, I love the way this one looks. The clouds are so dramatic. I noticed that the clouds were starting to move a little bit faster, so I decided to go for one last shot of the sun cresting the mountains. I really love the way this one turned out, even though I think it's a tad on the overexposed side. I would have liked to see a little bit more of those rays coming in from the sun. But still, I like the composition a whole lot. Then the camera beeped, giving me the indication that there was only one shot left. That couldn't have been right though, because it was a 36 exposure roll. I figured I'd still get like, 24, 28-ish, and then I realized, oh yeah, it's auto advancing, so it just thinks there's 120 film in there. I fired off the last shot on this little brush here, and then something scary started happening. Oh boy. Well, that sounded really good. Well, if you made it this far in the video, you know the roll didn't get ruined or anything like that. But I was afraid it was going to pull the film right out of the canister, which obviously would have been a problem for developing it. And I was also kind of concerned that it might have damaged the motors in my GA645zi. Here's the real deal. I don't know what happened when this thing rewound the film. I'm scared. So we're gonna just do this in the dark. Alright, so we're just winding the film back into the canister. Oh, thank God. I had a really good time with this crapshoot, though some lessons were learned. I'm really glad that I got to go out and take some pictures of the fall leaves, because let's face it, here in New York I feel like fall lasts for like 12 minutes and then all the leaves are gone. But I will say, for something like this, shooting 35mm on a 120 camera, I feel like the GA645, that ain't it, chief. The fact that it automatically advances onto the next shot just makes it a little bit difficult. It's also wasteful. I feel like I wasted half the roll of film because it just rewound after it hit 16 shots. Some of the shots are less than stellar, but honestly, I'm still happy I did it. There's a couple of shots that I really love in here, and I think this one is my favorite from the set. But what do you guys think? I'm curious to know which one's your favorite. Let me know in the comments below. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching the video. I really appreciate you guys checking out the channel and hanging out and leaving me your comments and all that fun stuff. And also a huge shout out to Birgit from Lomochrome for hooking me up for the film scanner that allows me to scan straight to the sprockets. I actually originally sent this through the darkroom in California, and I love them. I send a lot of my film through them, and I have nothing but positive things to say, but for this particular roll, the scans, the the colors were like super inaccurate and the sprocket holes were like weirdly cut off. Like, I know this isn't a normal thing, but I'm a little disappointed with how those came out. So I rescanned them myself and I'm much happier with the results. And anyway, guys, I know that was a little rambly at the end there, but thanks for checking out the video. And make sure you guys connect with me. I'm here, I'm on Discord, MySpace, Instagram, Twitter. And as always, guys, make sure you share the video. Let me know how your day's going and I'll catch you in the next one. All right, guys. Bye. Oh yeah, and I keep forgetting to mention because I'm a good YouTuber, the 4K Club merch, it's in the description, it's on Teespring, check it out because it's going away probably at the end of December. Alright guys, now I'm leaving for real. I'm like the dad who goes for milk and never comes back. Until next week, or maybe this week. I'm gonna stop talking now. Ever since I shot my first roll of... So after shooting it, I was gonna shoot Lomochrome purple 35mm through a 120mm. I almost said the bad thing. First of all, I don't have a frame counter. I don't really know where I am. That was so existential.
Like and subscribe to Sweet Lou Photography. The man.